Everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is going to be our June 2025 kit release compilation video. So here we are, crawling ever closer to being back up to date. Are you excited? I can tell. Please sit down on your hands to keep from clapping. We have 21 models in this week's agenda. Might be 2 videos this week depending on when we get this one up, and then get the July one up to be fully caught up. I don't want to upload them too close together to give you guys obviously a chance to watch them and not have a whole bunch of stuff stacked up. I know these videos tend to run like at least a half an hour, and so, you know, if I upload like 2 hours of content within like 4 days, everybody would just basically give up and not watch any of them. So there's that. Also, I happened to notice it might have been 2 days ago, there was a minor kerfuffle in the community where Papa's Model Car Garage, I believe is the channel's name, saw a post where someone accused someone of building box stock models as being an assembler and not a real modeler. You guys who've been here for the whole ride of the last 10 years know that that is something I've complained about for the entire 10 years I've been on YouTube. So while I do not, and this is not meant to disparage that video at all, I would like to welcome Papa to the fact of the internet, because this is not a new problem. This is not a unique problem. This is just something that's been going on for a very long time. There are some folks out there who are utterly miserable. Their only life goal is to make you as miserable as they are, and one of the ways they try to do that is assume the one-up position from your psychology therapy background and try to be dominant by being better than you. Yeah, well, there's 2 facts about modeling that always should be in your forefront of your mind at all times. 1, you're not as good as you think you are, and 2, somebody else is better than you. Yeah, even the buttholes who want to act superior, there's somebody better than you. Don't worry about it. You'll find them sooner or later. So, having said that little bit, because again, we've ranted about that for a decade now, I just thought it was kind of funny that this was everyone acted like this was a new thing. Oh my god, I can't believe someone would be so rude. Yeah, people were rude that all the time and have been for the dawn of the internet as far as it involves modeling, because somebody's always going to be jealous of somebody else. So, we have, let's see, 6 kits here on the US side. Minor resurgence of round 2, actually releasing models that you perhaps want to buy, as well as a few things overseas as always. So let's plow on in and get down to business. So over at round 2, all of these kits are going to be released underneath the AMT branding. First up, we have the 1969 Plymouth GTX hardtop. There could be many arguments made about the Roadrunner and the GTX in terms of the body accuracy versus the original Johan kits from the 1960s. I certainly see the points of the people who will say the Johan kits are more accurate. However, have you tried to buy a Johan GTX or Roadrunner that isn't already started or molested? Yeah, that's like $100+ proposition. So while this kit may not be the most accurate thing in the world, it is probably the easier thing in the world to get and acquire. This comes with the 426 and a 440, so you have a couple engine options in it, and otherwise this is a pretty decent 1990s era AMT Ertl kit. This kit was last released in the Dirty Donnie box art, which was a great series of kits, if you may recall, in 2018. So it's been 7 years since this was out last. Prior to that, this is one of the original kits of sort of the beginning of the round 2 era. For folks that can remember that far back in like 2011, that is when the folks over at round 2, led by Tom Lowe, started to lease the tooling that Tomy, the Japanese toy manufacturer, had acquired when Racing Champions sold them the model tooling back then. So this is before like round 2 officially bought it all and became AMT and MPC. There was a short period of time where they leased some tooling, and the GTX was one of those first 7 or so kits that sort of brought back AMT and MPC from the dirt nap that they were taking during the Racing Champions era. So if you're interested in it, that kit is out there for you to obtain. Moving along with Mopar, how about something more modern? This is the 2005 Chrysler 300C. Now, obviously, this was tooled up underneath the Racing Champions era. It is one of the more decent of the kits that were tooled up then. Some of the other ones are a little iffy. This one's... They all have very unique design quirks because they were being tooled up by a company that didn't want to own a modeling company. They just wanted the NASCAR diecast business and also the farm diecast business. The modeling thing was like this thing they got, and they didn't know what to do with it, and nobody there knew how to run it. And so there weren't that many kits released during that, say, 10-year time span that they owned it. This was one of them. This was last out in 2011 time frame as another one of those original half dozen or so kits that were produced, because the tooling had only been run like twice, and it was in good condition, and everyone knew where all the parts were. So it was run back then. It hasn't been seen since. So it's certainly an option. It'd be nice if they had, if there was a more modern Chrysler 300C of the Charger body style E55 AMG chassis family, but that's probably never actually going to happen. But so this one's back available. And then we have a reissue of the 1953 Ford pickup. Well, you want to talk about a venerable AMT kit. This one goes back to 1964, so it is an oldie but a goodie, or a moldy oldie, depending on how you look at those things. This box art in the Baja Patrol got that silent box top that is very popular, with the end caps obviously having all the printing information on it to tell you what it is the second release of this kit from back in the day. The release of this kit, let me pull the numbers up here so I get the actual dates right, was done in 2014. That release had the original 1964 box art on it. This is the box art from the second release. ScaleMates doesn't have a date on it. If you happen to actually know for real what year this came out, and drop it in the comments so I can go fix ScaleMates, because it just says 19 question mark for the release date, and based on the kit number it has to be before 1971. So if you know, cool. So a throwback, if you will. Decal's not available since 6 years before I was born, and this got a little bit of, because it did get a Coca-Cola reboxing in 2019. That was another one of those kits that was force shipped out with all of the Walmart end cap displays that we were talking about last video. So there's a lot of those floating around, and especially in the secondary market, because people bought those when they went on clearance for like $5, and they threw them all up on eBay, again, back at like the $30 price tag they had on them. And so there's a lot of those floating around. The other two releases of the 53 Ford pickup truck since 2014 would be the two racing teams. One of those being like the golf hauler and the truck trailer. That was 2022. That's only 3 years ago, but that had a trailer included in it. And so, if you just wanted the truck and you didn't want the trailer, or the Cobra and the trailer from the Cobra Racing Team release in 2018, you're saving some money because you're not buying 3 model kits all at one time. So, again, there if you want it. It's something that everybody probably has some of. I think the box art will probably sell more of these than the contents will, but is what it is. And then lastly from AMT, you have a reissue of the 1940 Willis Gasser in a Coca-Cola tie-in. Guys, it's been so long since I've been able to say a Coca-Cola tie-in. I am thrilled because I know how much everyone hates these. Not so much hates them, but it's Coca-Cola all the things, right? So yes, it's another Coca-Cola, decal thing. The 40s Gasser itself, the pickup truck was in a Coca-Cola box in 2019. The last time the Gasser was out was 2015, so it's been 10 years. That was the Three Stooges boxing. If you've been on YouTube the entire 10 years, I'm pretty sure if you go back to one of the first couple of videos, we probably talked about that kit back then, in the setup with the room backwards of this, and me talking into a big microphone from the video game Rock Band because I didn't have a webcam at the time and that was the only audio device I had. Good times. But yeah, so that kit's back out there if you're interested in it. I know that's another venerable kit. That thing's been around for whatever, for forevers. I don't think it's 1968. That was when the 33 Willies came out, but it's back then. Scalemates is real skittish about what the date is on this. So, you know, at any rate, it's been around. Don't expect a brand new tool is what we're going for there. And yeah, cool for the people who are fans of that. I'm always interested to see how well those kits will sell. Those are some of the kits when I talked about last video about the static that round 2 is getting. Those are the kits I was talking about because those are things that have been out multiple times. Some of them, of course, are 60 years old at this point, and so they've been out a lot. And how many more of these do we need? Yeah, they're not being sold to you. They're being sold to the guy down at Hobby Lobby who, if he hasn't been in Hobby Lobby in the last 10 years, because those original round 2 kits that were the least tooling, the GTX and the 300C, were actually sold at Hobby Lobby 10 years ago. 15 years ago, actually. And, yeah. They haven't been on the shelves since then. If that's where you get your model kits, that's the only place you can find them. Going over to Salvino's JR, we got 2 releases this month. We finally got a historic kit again after a sea of Camaros and whatnot. And this is a 1974 Dodge Charger, the Daytona 500 car. If you look at this and you think, man, that kind of looks familiar. If you've been around for the whole ride of Salvino's JR for the last 5 years, you think that looks awful familiar. I swear they've done that before. You're right. They did. But that kit had vinyl applique decals, air quotes. Yeah, I don't know. That was a thing. They were going to do that. That was a big plan. If you belonged to the Builders Club back in 2022 when this kit came out, that was a huge thing that they were planning to do, especially with the next-gen cars, because the next-gen cars are obviously wrapped, right? And so what would look more real on the next-gen cars, vinyl wrap, than a vinyl wrap? Now, the vinyl stickers that you would get in a model kit, and that's basically what these were. They're a little bit higher quality, but they're still the vinyl stickers you get in like a Snap-Tight kit, obviously are not what a vinyl wrap is made out of, a real vinyl wrap. A real vinyl wrap isn't really self-adhesive that way. It is, but not that way, right? It's a completely different process, a completely different kind of vinyl. So this was kind of doomed from the beginning. I don't know how many of these they actually sold. They probably sold out of them, because they only make like 1,500 of them in the first place. So they probably found 1,500 people between club members, because I believe this was a kit of the month back when it came out. And then, of course, it was sold in stores and things like that. I'm sure they found 1,500 people to be like, oh yeah, vinyl applique, that'll be cool. Yeah, it wasn't, because like all vinyl stickers, it stood proud. It's not a decal. These are actually decals in this one. So these have the we haven't talked about this for a while because it hasn't been one for a while, but this has the new Cartograph vermilion that they did, I want to say it's about 2 years ago. They finally got Cartograph to make the right color fluorescent red that Petty used. We haven't talked about fluorescent red for a while because a lot of the Petty cars that have been released in the intermediate have been like the Roadrunners and things like that, which didn't have the Petty red on them because they were just like, you know, the Southern Motors Chrysler cars, or they were sponsored by like very early versions of STP that didn't have the vermilion on them yet. So these are high quality decals made by Cartograph. It is a giant decal, right? The hood and the sort of the roof onto the C-pillar. The hood's obviously its own decal, right? The roof onto the C-pillar is its own decal, and then it meets that giant sail panel on the side. So it's a little bit of undulations. You're gonna play around with it a little bit. If these decals are the way that a lot of the other decals have been, because I didn't actually go watch the Salvino's unboxing of this, so I probably should have, but I didn't, because honestly, I'm not gonna buy this. So yeah, information-wise, would have been good. For me personally, don't care. But a lot of these vermilion decals come with the vermilion on sort of its own sheet, and then the white outline that goes around them is its own decal. So if you wanted to mask it off and paint it, you could, and then you get the pinstripe to put around it, or you can obviously use the actual Vermilion decals themselves. The other Salvinos decal kit, because, you know, it's a NASCAR, it's got decals. The other Salvinos kit for this month is the 2025 Chevrolet ZL1. Apparently, we're not licensing Camaro. Have you noticed that the last couple of videos, Camaro has not been on these? Are we trying to sneak it past everybody what this is? Or can we not call these Camaros anymore because they stopped making Camaros in 2024? That's a fine question. Anyway, this is Kyle Larson's Darlington throwback. Obviously, it's calling back one of the Kellogg's Tony the Tiger cars that Terry Labonte drove, with the Hendrix cars, sponsorship poking through with that normal blue that Kyle Larson uses. It's kind of interesting looking, kind of clashy at the same time. The blue and orange don't really go together, but at the same time they kind of do. It's cool. It's one of the better throwbacks compared to some of the ones from this year, but you know, it is what it is. Do you need another Camaro? Of course, always being the obvious question when it comes into those type of cars. We have one European release to talk about, and this is from ICM. This is called the Various Tin Lizzie. You're getting 3, that's right, 3 model kits in this. You're getting the sort of runabout coupe, you're getting the fire truck, and you're getting the, it's not really a sedan delivery, but you're getting the delivery truck. All 3 of them. This is priced around $85 to $90 here in the United States. It's around $60 if you can manage to get it out of the Ukraine. I don't want to go into a huge tangent about it because I want to save that for the actual video we're going to do at the end of August, when it becomes more clear what the real thing is going to be in terms of the end of the de minimis exemption here in the United States. Right now it's very, very fuzzy as to what's going to take place. There's a lot of rumors and conjectures and this, that, and the other things. But if you want to get one of these, I'm recording this on the 16th of August. I tend to have this up by like Tuesday the 18th. Order, and you're going to get one out of like the Ukraine, order it now, because the de minimis is going away, and one of the ways that this is going to be taxed when it comes into the United States is either the exact tariff, which I don't believe there's a set tariff for the Ukraine, although there's that 10% like baseline for everybody, or there's going to be an $80 flat fee applied, and this is through things coming through and through the postal service. If you go into like FedEx, UPS, DHL, things like that, they're going to charge you brokerage fees and import fees and handling fees and mishandling fees and unhandling fees and don't handle me fees. It's going to become, unfortunately, very, very, very expensive to self-import model kits into this country at the end of August. Again, I'll go into it more when I know more, because right now there's not really any clear answers as to how the postal system plans to actually collect those fees. I've seen some folks in the European Union already saying they're not going to ship to the United States anymore at all, because they're responsible for basically charging you for collecting those taxes and the tariffs and then remitting them back to the United States. And a lot of these, small aftermarket companies are one-man operations. They don't have time to do that. And that's very unfortunate, because it's going to significantly limit the things that we can buy. Now, 3D printing sort of goes around that because it's digital files and you're not exchanging product and money and things like that. But for actual items like ICM kits or Italeri kits, although Italeri and ICM to a certain extent have U.S. distribution channels, they're going to be more expensive than they are. I think I don't even remember if in this tangent I mentioned the Ukraine one costs like $62, so it is $20 less than the Ukraine, and some Ukraine places will do free shipping, so you can get this for less, but then you might have to pay $80 when it gets here. I got opinions on that, and we'll share them later. Anyway, and this will apply also to Japan, where we're going next, because Japan has a 15% tariff coming into the United States on all products. With no de minimis $800 exemption, you will have to pay a 15% tax and or a flat $80 fee coming out of like HobbyLink Japan and Hobby Search and Tokyo Models and all the places. It'll be very interesting to see how individual companies handle this on eBay. I've seen a few different retailers who are basically charging more for the model kit now and charging less for shipping to a certain extent, or the regular price for shipping, I guess I should say, increasing the price of the model slightly, or more, sometimes more than slightly, to cover that fee, that 15% fee, and then there will be a little thing on eBay that says all tariffs are applied on this purchase. No additional fees will be due at the time of delivery. That is something that if you don't order from a big place like Hobbylink Japan, or you're not prepared to deal with that fee yourself, you want to look for places that are going to charge you that up front so you aren't back charged for it when it gets here. Because basically, I said I wasn't going to go off on this, and here I am, but so just deal with it. An $80 flat fee on a 15% tariff. The tariff, as far as the U.S. Customs and Border Protection is concerned, includes the value of the product and the value of the shipping. So it's not that you need like so many dollars of shipping, so many dollars of product, and then shipping doesn't matter. If you had $750 of this, the $800 de minimis, right? I've had this happen to me. This is how I know. If you have $775 worth of product and the shipping is $150, that dumped you over that $800 limit, and then you had to file what was known as a self-importation certification form with customs saying that you were importing it yourself, not to resell it, which I wasn't. All of it is still here, scattered around this room. I think I might have sold some of it in the secondary market since then, but at the time I haven't sold it. A lot of it was alpha model stuff, so that's like $200 a pop, right? So it didn't take very many alpha models to get to $700. Having said that, to pay the $80 flat fee, that would require you to have a product and shipping charge combined of $540 before $80 worth of taxes would be commensurate to 15% of the value. That's about 13, 15 model kits depending. So yeah, gonna have fun with this at the end of the month. But let's look at the bright side, shall we? The actual model kits that were released. Starting over at Aoshima, we got 2 this month, both of them tied in to the fine world of anime. Let me bring up my background information here so that we can talk about these properly. First up, you have from the MF Ghost series, another Toyota 86. And this one is the Volume 14 car, which has a new set of wheels and a new rear spoiler, as well as several pieces of ground effects added to it. So, portrait versus landscape box art here. It's always fun. And this is the venerable, if you will, because it's been around forever, the 2012 Toyota 86. And again, it has the new, what they're calling special aero parts, special aluminum wheels, new seat, new steering wheel, obviously new decals. You still get the 124 scale 4-rotor drone, which is pretty cool. There's a new exhaust in here as well. New front bumper, new rear bumper, new side inserts where the little Toyota 86 logo goes on the front fender. So a bunch of new things here. This sort of gives you it's not obviously a wide body by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives you a new body kit for the Toyota 86. That's pretty mild, really, when it comes down to it. So that's pretty cool. The other one is this Mitsubishi Lancer Final Edition. This is an Evo 10. And this is another Itasca, or it's not Itasca, the Itasha. There we go. Itasca is a town in New York or Illinois. The Itasha series, and this is from Uma Musume Pretty Derby. So this has the characters Mihu New Bourbon and Rice Shower, and joining the 3rd installment of the 124th Itasha series. So apparently there were a couple of these done in the past. I don't necessarily remember which ones they would be. Apparently there was a Toyota 86 that came out November of last year. Okay, I don't necessarily remember that, but sure. You talk about enough models every month, or sometimes enough models in 1 month. Am I right? They start to blend together. But this is another one of these anime cars. The Evo 10 was tooled up in 2007, so it's a nice modern Aoshima kit. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Tester has one. I did see a comment where someone said that I shouldn't do any slander of the of these anime girl cars. I'm not slandering them at all. I just think they're pretty funny. And I know, again, that our podcast co-host, James Tester, is totally into them in terms of the graphics and the decals and the application of those. And so, you know, again, a little poke at good old Mr. Tester. Over to Fujimi, we got a couple of releases this month, including, it's nominally a new tool, but it's not really a model kit. So first up, you have this, the Honda Integra Type R GTW wing. So this is another one of these GTW wing kits. They all have the same parts included in them, the same two spoilers. Throwing them in there makes it a new kit, kind of, sort of. I believe this was GTW winged back in the 2000s when it was tooled up. You know, it's a curbside. The one benefit of the Acura that Revell did, even though it's, you know, not the same scale, it's a 125th scale kit, is the fact that the Acura one came with an engine. This doesn't. It's a very basic curbside. It is only right-hand drive JDM. Of course, the Acura was left-hand drive US spec, so there's that. It's not a bad kit by any stretch of the imagination, being a mid-2000s Fujimi kit. They were kind of on their game at that point in time. But, yeah, it's a wing, making a new quote-unquote model kit. Then you have this, the release of the Nissan March K12 Nismo S-Tune. Now, speaking of poking Mr. Tester, if you watched his channel and you saw the videos that he did when he came back from Japan back in May, he picked up, I don't think it was necessarily this one. I think he picked up the previous release of this kit. This was the 40th anniversary one, which has the stick of the knockdown display case with the 40th anniversary logo on the display case floor. This shows a 2-door on the box art, and the actual kit's a 4-door. That's kind of a bum steer. I've never picked up one of these kits, mainly because of that. If you gave me a 2-door one, I'd be totally into it because it would match the box art, and there actually was a Nismo S-Tune of the 2-door Nissan March, and out of the 4-door one there wasn't, and yeah, that's a little bit of false advertising. But yeah, it is what it is. Kit-wise, like if you wanted a 4-door Nissan March, 2000s era Fujimi kit, actually pretty decent. Then we have this release in the Touring King box art. This is a Nissan Silvia S13. It has the new easy alignment chassis underneath of it, so that improves the chassis from being a motorized toy chassis that it previously had. And otherwise, you know, the Aoshima S13 is still a better kit. Overall, the Aoshima S13, if you get certain releases of it, has an engine insert. This one does not. It is purely a curbside. But again, price-wise, this is like $13, $15. The Aoshima kit's going to run you $30 plus. So there's that. And then the new tool thing, and there's going to be a bunch of these over the next couple of videos, are these 20-foot shipping containers. They're snap tight. They're 22 pieces. This is basically another knockdown display kit. If you look at the box art there, that Lamborghini Miura that Fujimi has never once in their entire day's work ever dreamed of making, let alone actually kitted one, but is in the case of everything that is a display case, for whatever reason, is inside this shipping container, and you can put the wall up. The back doors of this open, much like the Italeri shipping containers did, or you can put a clear wall in there and make a display case out of it. That's kind of a neat trick, right? Like, you could stack these up. They're rectangles. They're snap tight kits. They should be square when they're done and be able to be put on top of one another without worry about them falling apart or falling apart. And have a bunch of shipping containers be your display cases. I kind of like that kitsch, right? But at the same time, it's not really how you want to display your model kits. It is what it is. This one is green. The other one is hot pink. Yeah, that's right. It's hot pink. Our buddy Jason Hanscom over at Blue Ox Model Shop just did that Toyota 11 A92. That's a dark blue car with pink wheels. Hey, Jason, stick it in the pink container for your display base. It'll match the wheels of the car. And that's Fujimi's stuff for this month. Again, nothing offensive. And the containers are legitimately brand new tooling. Just, like I said, not quite a model kit. Over to Hasegawa, Toyota Starlet, middle version, 1980 SE. So this is the special edition version of the Toyota Starlet. This kit has new seat tops, not the seat bottoms, not the part your butt sits on, but the part your back goes against. Those are new. Apparently, This kit had this car in real life had significantly different enough seat backs to justify tooling new parts for those. Also, the grille is new with the SE logo in it, and this body is a solid roof body with the ribbing on it. If you're a follower of Marcos Cruz, you know that one of his friends had taken one of the sunroof bodies that came out in the original Starlet that came out about 8 months ago, filled in the gap, and put the ribs on the car, which looked awesome, except now he didn't have to go through all that trouble, because this one has all that done for you. Otherwise, this kit is identical to the original one, just has the steel-roofed, no sunroof body, pair of new seats, and a new grille. Then we have a reissue of the Mitsubishi Galant GTO MR Aero Custom. So, yeah, this is the GTO MR kit with a new resin front chin spoiler. Huzzah! It's not the first time they've done a resin chin spoiler. It's not the same resin chin spoiler that's in the other kit. Resin chin spoiler, all the things, I guess. Then you have a reissue of their R32 GTR race car. This is the 1991 Bathurst 1,000 kilometers race winner. So, unlike the Fujimi kit, which doesn't have the right wheels, the right mirrors, or the right rear spoiler, this has all the right pieces inside. Huzzah! That's one thing about the new Hasegawa kits. We talk about the older, like 90s era Hasegawa kits, where they don't, like some of the rally cars don't have the right wheels. Some of the Touring, the Group C cars don't have the right intakes, don't have the right spoilers, don't have the right front winglets and things of that nature. Since these R32s were tooled up, from the get-go to be all these things, they tooled up the right wheels and the right mirrors and the right spoilers and all that stuff. So that's all there for you. The only sort of downside, if you want to call it that, to this kit is the decal sheet is very, very minimal. You get that red spear that runs along the mid-belt body line, character line, and then the printing, and that's it. You have to paint the red over white over blue tritone yourself. So it's not a very hard masking job. The breaks are very consistent in terms of where they are and how they flow. It's just you're going to have to paint a tritone. Very easy on this. I do want to say before moving on, because the bumpers front and back are separate. The spat on the side is separate. The spoiler is separate. The trunk deck, because this is a dual civilian race thing, so the trunks for the race cars have holes in them for where the fuel fillers go into them that obviously the street car doesn't have. And then the hood is separate because this has hood pins and obviously the street car doesn't. So like a bunch of the components that would have to all be masked off at one time kind of thing are separate. So that does make the painting a little easier, but again, tritone of your own volition. Next up, Mazda Savannah RX-7 early version custom version. This just in from the Department of Redundancy. This takes all of the racing parts, including the rims, from the Savannah RX-7 24 Hours of Daytona car, and nominally the Portland race car that was also done in the same livery, and takes all those racing pieces and crams them into the street car kit. So you get all of the over fenders, the big spoiler. I believe the interior is strictly civilian, but all the race car appearance parts, including obviously, like I said, the rims and the wheels and things like that, because it's a wider rim set to fit underneath the over fender without looking ridiculous like 13-inch wheels the real car had. All of that into the street car. So yeah, like the Nissan, like the Honda Civic and the Lancia Stratos and things like that. The race car, street car thing. So pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing. Speaking of race cars, you have this is the Edomitsu Motion Mugen Civic 1991 JTC champion. JTC back in the 90s, prior to it being split into a sedan type, what was that, Group 2 spec in 1994, was Group A spec, and they split it up into 3 divisions. Division 1 was your GTRs, Division 2 was almost exclusively BMW M3s, and Division 3 was all of like the JDM cars, Civics, Corollas, and things of that nature. And this won the Division 3 Championship in 1991. This is the brand new Tool Civic that was just released about 4 months ago, turned into a race car. So obviously there's about 2 parts runners worth of stuff in here for all of the race components, right? It's a roll cage, it's got all the racing interior, the racing exhaust, the racing suspension, racing wheels, the racing exhaust. I think I said exhaust. I meant the racing fuel tank, because the fuel tank is separate on this between the civilian and the race car. It's not molded into the chassis. And roll caging and all that sort of thing. All the race car stuff you would expect is obviously added to the kit to make it this. Unfortunately, for me, as far as I'm concerned, this kit was already done by BMAX and Nunu once, so I don't need a second one. I'm interested to see what other liveries they plan to do out of the EF9, EF3 kits, because there are a number of gaps, even with the 5 of them that Nunu and BMAX have done so far. Then you have this. This is a Subaru 360 Deluxe Claire Frost with figure. So it is a Subaru 360 Deluxe with some Claire Frost Eggplant Girl decals and a Resin Girl. Because why, Brian? Resin Girl, all the things. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The Subaru 360 is a kit from the 90s, and I guess 93, 94 tooling. It's okay. It's a pretty basic car. This was sort of Japan's answer to the Volkswagen Beetle, if you've never seen one before. And obviously, you know, it's got some graphics added to it, and who doesn't need a Resin Girl, I guess. And then the last kit we're going to talk about here is the Isuzu Bellet 1600 GTR early version, detail up version. So this kit has already come out, the early version. This was the original release of the Isuzu Bellet line that they've done with the other race car that's going to come out in September. That'll be 5 of them in total. This makes 6 technically. And what this does is add a big fret of photo etch into it, which includes all of the grill, all the grills, the side trim, all of the logos and emblems and things like that, and then a bunch of things for the interior. Pretty cool. It's about $10 extra. You know, is it worth it? It's totally up to you about how much you personally want to deal with photo etch, right? So that, gentlemen, ladies, kids, and of all ages, takes us through June of 2025. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.